they replied, Yoshism. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yoshism.
It happens.
I can
That is-
assume it's something that started with O.
Yoshism.
Tell me it. I'm tired.
Oha.
It's time to slap
Oh, ha.
some color on this Rex here.
True.
Just for funsies,
I
I will make it blue.
Make it bright.
Blue
fucking
dabba
pink.
dee ba da
I will
da ba
make-
da
The most-
dee.
I will make AJ suffer.
You just wanted to say almost as if you're targeting someone specifically.
Nah.
Little known fact is Tyrannosaurus actually got most of its diet from shrimps, and that's why they're pink.
Shrimps, my favorite.
I assume you're gonna be doing the colors of like your teaser piece along with, or like, I guess just that mainly.
For
I'm
the
gonna
most part,
say
I
what else
think,
that's from. Yeah.
Something in
One
that.
Tyrannosaurus with like 5 species of turtles. The correct. What is going on?
Hold on. It's a Tyrannosaurus and turtle pizza.
Videx, what noise are you making? Also, hello, James.
Sorry,
James
what-
is
what-
raising his hand.
So what did you say, JW?
You were making a lot of noise.
What?
And I wish I could help
Too noisy.
let James up. But I cannot.
In a second.
In a minute.
Just had to cut out this little Rexy schmexy.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Buongiorno.
Feeling French today, aren't we?
Only when I say hello.
Bonjour.
I started doing it at work as well, and I don't know why. You haven't looked at French.
Buongiorno.
Bonjour.
And it looks like I got here just in time.
Yes.
You did. Very excellent timing.
He's enjoying his nice, relaxing bath.
Yes. With all his Dakota Raptor bodies.
They're
Yeah.
all lost in the
Oh,
sauce.
Oh, James, hi. Hello. Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
How are your creatures doing?
No, the creatures are creaturing. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. Keeping an eye on all of them. I may need to jump up in the middle of the night to feed the frogs, I just realised.
I love them.
I could just do it tomorrow. I don't want to disturb Kathleen. She's sleeping. Let me see if I can find some recent pictures. Leela has been a bit funny, but she hasn't been eating much. But we think it might be because it's a bit too cold for her at the moment. So we just got to keep her nice and warm. Oh, perfect. There's a perfect one. Yeah. Frog stack. And here's one from earlier today. Albie just being a mood.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, your goodness.
That thing is a spiky pancake.
Spiky pancake.
Oh, I love them.
Oh, here is Tort.
And the cake specimen.
Here is our own Dakota
We're
Raptor.
a unique specimen.
Caked up. Oh. It's a tort.
Oh, hang on.
Tortoise. I've been sent so many videos of my friend's pet turtle, and it's so or tortoise, and it's very
Also,
cool.
thank you, Hannah, for that edit. That goes straight to Blue Sky.
True.
There's an even greater mood. And here, I forgot about this. This was yesterday, I think.
Oh.
I was about to say something mean. I won't say something mean to my girlfriend.
Do it. Do it.
I was about to say they call you a memer because you're a fucking joke.
No.
Jeepers!
Yeah,
Right for the throat there.
reserve that to Elon Musk because he tries so
I
hard.
love you, Hannah.
The love, it fills the room. I can basically taste it.
Taste the love. Now here's when she was on the back of the sofa and she decided to fall asleep.
Good.
Oh.
Aww. Okay, Joshua, I have a colour suggestion for T-Rex. I mean, it looked a bit like it had pepperoni on its back, so...
Pizza Rex?
Oh yes, the mac and cheese. T-Rex.
No.
Rex and cheese.
You're just
Rex and
recreating the
cheese.
Dinosaur King. This is just the Dinosaur King Rex.
Ah,
Oh
I hate
my
that you're
God.
correct.
Oh my god, it is!
Yeah.
Never liked that design. I'm sorry.
Oh, I found another one. I found Bob looking really enlightened after eating a particularly good cockroach.
Enlightened frog,
Nice.
please.
Oh,
Oh, that is.
he has gained like 2 brain cells. He will lose them immediately after the photo is taken.
The first brain cells in his entire life. And I mean that in the nicest possible way.
Oh, what a splendid animal.
Ah, yes, very enlightened.
They've been very blessed.
Ah, we got blessed by the approval by Michael Deek here, since he is also working on dinosaur integument. That is the highest praise we can get.
Ooh, very
Although I think it was specifically for Jules' version.
It's
It's actually revealed that we now know the color scheme of Tyrannosaurus Rex from new fossils, and it's actually yellow and red.
Mm-hmm.
This is a huge win for the Italian people.
Actually, the worst thing about that drawing is now I'm really hungry.
Go eat something.
I know, but then I'd have to leave.
Feast, consume. You
mean-
can sit in here and eat at the same time.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can consume.
I've been letting my nuts.
we'll also be here when you get back. This is going to be a very, very long stream.
It's,
Also, may I ask something a bit
No.
unrelated?
Absolutely.
Dino Dan on another server made this unholy thing, but I'm wondering if any of y'all can identify the ornithischian skull underlaying it, because I can't tell what it is.
Wait,
Jehosaurus.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's
Jeff-
just... That's
Yeah.
Jehosaurus from the recent
It's
paper.
it's the new reconstruction,
Oh.
but it sucks, and this is not how you would reconstruct this animal, because we have entire skulls of this thing. that are not crushed and restored.
This
Oh.
is what you call a joke from Dinotan.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know.
I was gonna say.
I mean, I knew the
Tyrannosaurus-
soft tissue was. I was just
Yeah.
curious what on earth the skull was, because they called it a thessalosaurus, and I'm like,
No, the people. I don't know why they call not Dinodan specifically. I know the conversation you're referring to. I don't know why they call it Cephalosaur. Its head is vaguely Cephalosauri in shape, but that's because all these basal ornithischians have vaguely Cephalosaur-shaped heads.
Yeah, but it
It
has
would
been
have looked like
recovered.
what you expected it to look like.
It has been recovered as a Tessalosaurid before.
It has been.
okay.
I don't think that's gonna pan out.
Hmm. Interesting.
I think the Chihilosaurus paper itself doesn't put it into Cephalosauridae anyways. It puts it as
It puts it into a basal ornithopod, and I'm very skeptical about that.
Hmm.
Yeah, there is an entire skull there of an adult.
I think it's
This
even figured in
motherfucker
the
would not.
paper.
Yep.
Yeah. please give us an actually good basal ornithischian.
One of these
I
days.
like Jehosaurus.
there's a lot of good basal ornithischians. The problem is not that we don't have any good ones. The problem is just that there's no resolution in that part of the tree.
Yeah, I mean like early ones because like we got that single bone one from late last year.
Oh yeah.
Depending on what you think the silosaurids are, I guess those, but most of those are hot garbage. That's putting it nicely.
Yeah, that is the case.
Yeah, I can fully believe it. I just don't like. I know that there's a little bit of art on that still, so
Like,
I'd wanna keep
I
that.
think Silosauridae is basal ornithischia, but I would
They will
also
always be
love
in my
more
heart.
stuff.
Yeah,
I think they're animals.
they're one of
They
the
are.
animals.
They are creatures.
They are
Now-
herbivorous animals.
Now,
with
Jules, you are
slightly
getting
more-
controversial.
I'm afraid I'm gonna have to cancel you, Jules.
No, please don't.
So
I have no arguments against it, but please don't.
So Yash, what if you put some of those aquatic plants sticking to the Tyrannosaurus legs? That
Well,
I think
That
that would
seems-
be
that is exactly what I will do, but I first need the animal overalls.
true. I was gonna say
No, you don't.
I
some
also will
days
have like
just
the horsetails here, like going a little bit over it and stuff.
yeah.
some days we are all on the same brainwave.
I mean, yes, this VC oftentimes only shares a single brain cell.
Indeed.
Everybody
think-
loves watching live. We all just become the same human being.
Yeah.
Ah,
I think you could. I think you could have at least 3 species of turtle on this guy's back because, like, I've seen turtles resting on things where it'd be like a painted turtle, a red-eared slider, than like a random soft shell.
Yeah, let me look at the turtles we got.
Yeah, like
Oh,
I
right.
could completely see a bunch of species hanging out on here. Lancian, actually, what is the most common turtle genus that help?
I don't think. I don't know if that's actually been like a number of people have ran. I'm sure like individual collections will be able to tell you, oh, we found this turtle this many times. But I don't think there's like one specific turtle that pops up more than others.
That's
I think the most commonly recovered group of turtles are bayonids, but I don't think any
Yeah.
specific taxon within that is said to be like the most common.
Yeah, I was just wondering because we have things like painted turtles where, wow, this is pretty much everything here, huh?
I mean, maybe that's something I can look into. My gut instinct, I feel like we found a lot of Eubana. I'm not saying that that's the most common,
Yeah.
but I don't think, for the billion turtle fragments that we have, I don't think we have like the resolution to say that. It's really variable as well. You'll have singles like sites that have like a ton of bayonets, but only a very few trionic, and then you'll have another site that has very few or a lot of trionic and very few bayonets. So in addition to there being not enough data to say that, the data we do have suggests that there's, as you would expect, geographic variation going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Ubena works size-wise as well for some of the
Yeah.
turtles on the back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think any of the turtles could work.
Turtle is turtle.
I mean,
Turtle good.
the big boy here. Not so much, I think. Wintermute 993. Welcome to the stream and thank you for the follow.
Yeah. That guy, maybe you could have the head popping out of the water or something like that. I mean, I'm assuming you mean Basil Emmys. Oh, I didn't realize how big X Emmys got.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there's two giants here.
Ow. Oh, sorry
It's
for
Oh
the
my
rough.
god,
Earth-aged
they moved
giant
it
turtle,
too
actually.
often.
One of these turtles looks like it's from a certain group. I'll make sure before I say anything.
I mean, they are organized by group mostly.
Why does Comp Semis look so much like a snapping turtle?
That's been
Yes,
remarked on a
Comp-Semis
couple
is such
times.
I mean, I would argue that the majority of Hell Creek texts are Septipon, even the ones that everyone knows. But Comp-Semis has always been compared to is it Macrocephalus? It's literally just the
Oh,
the
the
big-headed
big-headed.
turtle, the one in Europe.
Yeah, the skull also looks like big-headed turtle. Yeah, it doesn't have as hooked of a premaxilla and maxilla as alligator, snapping turtle, or anything like that. Yeah, I can see Megacephala.
Yeah, the turtle fauna. I mean, everyone knows that so many turtles, but
Yeah.
the turtles present pretty diverse and in pretty much all aspects. I mean, people think giant turtle in Hell Creek and they think Axostemes and Basilemes, but there's like two species of Basilemes, and then there's also the one that people often forget or don't realize is also gets like massive. Is I'm putting in air quotes, Osteopygus. It's not actually Osteopygus, but whatever.
Yeah.
So it's pretty surprisingly unique assemblage we got going on here.
Yeah. I'm looking at the skull of Gilmore Emmys, and that is a really downturned head, like towards like the preorbital area.
I'm seeing that something evil happened. I changed the name on one of them, and I think it changed. No, I actually changed back. This fucking thing has crashed so many times for me.
Oh
Ooh.
no.
Who'd have thunk? But it's fine. It's correct. I thought I did the incorrect name, but it's the correct name.
Yeah. I need to look into early soft shell turtles. I'd love to see what the skulls in those guys look like, where you have like a weird sort of noses that aren't quite what we see. I assume they would sort of look like pig nosed.
Probably.
That's a group I'm surprised isn't actually, if I'm looking at it correctly. I would think that the pig nosed turtle would be here since it sort of had a wide distribution in earlier periods of time. Even within the US by the Eocene.
Oh, this reminds me, since we have Michael Deek here, what are your thoughts on this type of integument I'm putting on my racks here based on your preliminary vibes. I know you're looking into dinosaur stuff, so
Preliminary vibe. My favorite.
What are your vibes?
What
There's
are
nothing
your
better.
vibes?
I mean, I don't want him to spill NDA or anything.
I won.
Bye, Hannah. Have a nice rest of
Bye.
your night.
Goodbye.
Night, night. Haha, I shall not sleep.
I will bully Jules into sleeping. Don't worry.
Hmm.
Please don't believe me, I might cry.
Michael, if you also want to speak, you can raise your hand.
I think that's why he said that he would be on in a second.
Ah, okay.
I was born to make people cry, Jules.
Because of joy, right?
Right?
Sure.
For real?
Wait,
Yes.
why
You
was
should
this
go to bed
randomly?
relatively soon, Jules.
Wow.
I should go to bed relatively soon, but I am growing plants and I'm enjoying it. And then I'm gonna
Nice.
Okay.
probably cook a sandwich.
Mm.
I think when I finished with the Rex here, I will get myself a hot chocolate.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Nice. I've got
I
one
might
right here.
make the adventure down to the basement to get soda pop.
Woohoo!
Mm.
Oh my gosh, the soda pop.
The
Which
soda
I
pop.
can never take that phrase seriously.
I might do that myself at some point.
Let's go.
Do I have any cash
Let's
in
do
my
soda
wallet?
pop
Because
together.
the
I
vending
mean,
machines here destroy debit cards. Like they scratch them up for some reason.
Ooh.
Oh.
phone. Do you have a debit card on your phone? Like I do.
They don't take it. I do not have a bill that that a vending machine would take.
Ooh, pretty. I love ginkgo IDs, which I presume is what you're drawing.
It's been in my era, but it's one of the boring ones, which just looks like a Game Boy. Which I'm so disappointed
Nice.
because when I saw it, there was Game Boy making presents, I was like, oh, cool! And it's a boring one, which is easier to draw, but a lot more boring.
Unfortunate.
Oh yeah. Jules, I did start collecting carboniferous plant, and some of these are very
Ooh.
silly.
Mm-hmm.
Lepidodendron is very silly looking.
Ooh.
Yeah. Carboniferous plant, honestly, probably Carboniferous and Permian are the main areas of plants where I just have no idea. I basically know nothing about them because I've never looked at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
also like
I-
they are so different from other groups that we have around today that makes
Mhm.
getting into them probably like quite a bit more tricky than
I mean,
Mesozoic and onward.
not so much. Yeah, it's not so much that. I mean, like Devonian plants, I'm actually randomly very well acquainted with purely because I've been commissioned to do them like 4 or 5 times.
Mhm.
So I've ended up becoming quite acquainted with Devonian plants. It's just Carboniferous plants I've done like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Here are some of
Doing a couple
the
at the moment, but that's it.
here are some of the more fun ones I have in my folder I've started building.
I hear many explosions outside, and I am very confused.
Oh, fire.
Fireworks, I presume, but I don't know why. It's the
Let's
25th
hope.
of January.
They've just
Well,
had some
that
leftover
doesn't
and wanted
mean
to use them, obviously.
anything. Over here, we also sometimes get like these random fireworks in the middle of the year, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Please shut the fuck up. We have pets.
A certain person is raising their hand.
Ooh.
We see a raised hand. Let's chop it off. There we go.
Eh.
Come on in. Come on in.
Welcome, welcome.
Well,
Yeah, hello.
They're fine. Promise we don't bite.
Well, I do, but you're not here.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, let me
Okay,
turn
is
up
my
your volume.
is my audio on?
Yes, yes. I'm
Yeah.
putting you onto 170. That's good. There we go.
Perfect. But yeah, regarding the Rex' integument, this looks fine. This looks very good. But my one question is there any specific specimen that this is actually based on? If or is this just a general quote unquote average sized
I
adult?
used the skull, a 3D scan of the skull of Trix for this.
Okay, so a little on the bigger side.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I
No,
recall
also
correctly,
because it's
adult
such a
Trix.
nice specimen.
Oh yeah, it really is.
That has a scan. So I was like, yeah. I would have liked to use Tristan, but Tristan is just, yeah, flattened herself.
But yeah, I would say this is definitely within the realms of plausibility, at least for a larger adult, because again, I don't want to spill too much about the next project that's in the works,
Mm-hmm.
following our ground sloth paper, but we do plan on basically doing what we did with that publication and using the same modeling techniques and applying them to T-Rex.
Nice.
Ah.
If I remember right, they did something similar to like Coelophysis or something. So it's
Yes.
I mean, it's the same technique.
So
yeah.
Ooh.
yeah, several of my co-authors on the ground sloth paper also worked on that 2020 paper. That's what actually kind of kickstarted me to use this technique with ground sloths in the first place.
yeah.
But yeah, so basically, even though Niche Mapper is more so aimed at, I'm trying to think what's the word, basically modeling habitat suitability. And that's kind of what it's been generally applied to with regards to various extant taxa, because for years it was mainly used for modeling habitat distributions for extant amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, you name it. It's been done on a lot of things.
So more like a tool for conversation.
Yes, to a degree. But the aspect of what Lovelace et al. Did with Triassic dinosaurs, with Plateosaurus and Coelophysis, is, again, the big thing that of interest to me was that its models suggested that Coelophysis would have had a physiological necessity for feathers.
Yeah.
Of course, which is huge regarding, the evolution of feathers, mind you. Because even though we don't have direct evidence for it in Coelophysis as of right now, there's evidence suggesting that it would have needed them.
Yeah.
So, and again, as showing with our ground sloth paper, showing that even the large megatheres, except for Erematherium in the more neotropical regions, they would have needed, a fairly dense coat of fuzz on them in order to. I'm sorry if I keep stuttering here. It's just, I'm trying to, get my thoughts all together.
That's
This is
right.
kind of like it's kind of off script right here, but basically, our results show that megatheres would have been fairly densely furry for a mammal, albeit due to their low metabolic rates. But yeah, those of you who haven't checked it out yet, shameless self-promotion plug right here. Go read our ground sloth paper. It's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Would you mind putting a link to it in chat?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, let me actually do that real quick.
I know it doesn't have to do with the thing that Yash is doing, but maybe we could pin it in Twitch if people want to look at it for at least a
that
little
would be
bit.
great.
Oh yeah, for if people want to.
Twitch.
Yeah.
It should be. Okay, I got it linked. I'm putting this in the voice chat.
Yep.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, let me pin it.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you. But yeah, even though this isn't a perfect direct one-to-one comparison for Tyrannosaurs, again, low metabolic rates, herbivore, different modes of locomotion, among other things, various very different physiologies. One good thing, researching into tackling this from a thermal energetics standpoint, because this other project is going to also deal with going back and looking back at some of these skin impressions that were published back in 2017, among other things, which I'm not going to really disclose too much about here.
Yeah.
But the modeling simulations are probably what's going to be the main meat of this next one, I would say. Mainly because I've been looking back at Bell 2017 quite a bit recently, and contrary to what everybody on the internet has been saying, a lot of their arguments for a reduction or complete absence of feathers in Tyrannosaurs mainly deals with thermal energetics. Like, it had nothing to do with scales and feathers coexisting or apparently, unable to coexist, which of course is garbage. And the fact that, we have feathered ornithomimids, in these same formations, therefore we should see feathers on these tyrannosaurs, even though we only have like about 4 specimens showing signs of feathers at all.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it can happen in this formation doesn't mean it happens very frequently.
Yeah, I assume that another thing is quote unquote bird feathers or bird scales and
Yeah.
what those actually are.
Yes, that also plays a big role into it too, because of course Tom Holtz, Brian Eng, among others, have pointed out that the skin of Y-Rex in particular, and just as a side note, I like how the T-Rex is basically just chilling out in an oxbow with a bunch of turtles, basking on top of it, because apparently Y-Rex was also found in an oxbow deposit with a bunch of turtles.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
So,
yeah.
nice.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know.
So yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's. I don't know if that was intentional or not,
No,
but
it was not. It
I'm
was
leaving
not.
it out there.
I was looking for a way to incorporate T-Rex without making it
Yeah.
a hunting scene, with everything running away from it. Like, if I would have put it like in the middle of the center of attention, in the middle of the piece, why would any large herbivore go near it? So
Yeah, it's good to see it just chilling out, in the lake, cooling off, and just chilling out, and just like not really doing anything. It's kind of much in the same vein as the Tarbosaur seen in Prehistoric Planet with like the herbivores
that's one of my
know it's
favorite
there,
scenes.
but it's not hungry. But even still, the herbivores are still like on alert.
Yeah.
But back to the modeling stuff. So a lot of looking back at the Bell paper, a lot of its arguments are mainly based on thermal energetic. So mainly of 3 things. One is being the climate. So of course there was a lot of discussion earlier with regards to the paleoclimate of Hell Creek. And the Bell paper even makes explicit mention of Hell Creek and all these other localities where tyrannosaurs are found. They overlap in ambient temperature with the Easian. So, people say like, oh, the Easian's cold, the Hell Creek's pretty hot. And of course, discussions earlier, earlier in the stream basically saying that the Gulf states may not be 100% accurate in terms of what Hell Creek was like as an environment, in terms of climate and temperature, mainly because it's, so far north in terms of latitude. We don't really have any ecosystems like that anymore. But but yeah, the climate definitely overlaps with the Yeezian. So that's of course out the window. The other one, the second one that I don't think a lot of people had looked at was mainly regarding higher energetic demands. Mainly because Tyrannosaurs had very long legs compared to other theropods of similar body size, and therefore the authors suggested. Well, they cited another paper which was also authored by some of the authors on the Bell paper, suggesting that Tyrannosaurs were engaging in higher energy demanding pursuits compared to other theropods because of their long legs. However, a study has come out in years since showing that the long legs on Tyrannosaurids were more so energy savers.
Oh,
And this is
yeah,
what I think is pretty cool in terms of like
the ballerina paper.
yeah, the Fast and the Frugal is what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah. And rereading that paper, it made me realize just how there's at least some degree of overlap with what we're saying with ground sloths. Because one thing that we said in our ground sloth paper is that ground sloths may have retained a lower metabolic rate for mammals of their body size to kind of get more metabolic mileage and, so to limit competition between other big herbivores. Basically as a way of achieving giant sizes without, the metabolic kickbacks of, living a more energetically costly lifestyle.
Question.
Basically, yeah.
Do we have direct evidence that they were that ground sloths had slow metabolisms like the living ones, or is it based on like the living ones?
So our paper does actually deal with addressing this because there wasn't really a lot of the evidence for suggesting these animals had lower than average metabolic rates was mainly due to comparisons with their living relatives and also more circumstantial evidence based on speeds from trackways, and also there were some body temperature estimates based on bone collagen samples from the late 60s for Nothrotheriops with temperature estimates of about 34 degrees Celsius. So what we did in our study is we implemented clumped isotope mass spectrometry.
Okay.
And this is what's been done with. Are you at all familiar with the Megalodon body temperature paper from a couple of years ago? 2023?
Heard about it, haven't read it.
I think I remember.
Yes. Yeah. So a couple of the co-authors on that paper were with us on this one. So basically, the first part of our question is, did these things have lower than average metabolic rates to begin with? And again, this technique's been done with megalodon teeth. It's been done with non-avian dinosaurs, mammoths, you name it. So we basically, drilled into some ground sloth teeth, ran them through ICP mass spectrometer. Well, maybe not ICP, a clumped isotope mass, but did some clumped isotope work on it. And surprisingly, our body temperature estimates fell within the lower end of living xenarthran body temperature. So about 30 to 32 degrees Celsius. And again, that's for something like Megatherium and Erematherium, which were the size of elephants. So these things were running pretty cold, metabolically speaking, compared to other mammals of similar body sizes that we have temperature estimates from using the same technique. So yeah, we also provide direct evidence of lower than average metabolic rates in ground sloths. Caveats in mind, we had a fairly low sample size to work with, among other things, in trying to assess the degree of diagenesis and other things. But yeah, go ahead and look at the paper in terms of what we actually say. But
So basically, the answer is we do have some evidence.
yeah. Basically, long story short, yes, we do. But yeah, so of course, Tyrannosaurs having higher metabolic rates are not going to be a direct comparison. But at the same time, the metabolic mileage hypothesis, in terms of, not really having quite as much energy demands. So their metabolic rates would have been higher, but their degree of metabolic usage would have been roughly comparable, surprisingly. They would have only been, looking back at the daily foraging budgets that the Ballerina of Doom paper suggested for large tyrannosaurs. In order for them to maintain a basal metabolic rate and twice, or at least twice their metabolic rate, which is roughly the degree of metabolic activity we were. Actually, no, let me backtrack. For them to, maintain a basal metabolic rate and to cover their normal foraging range, a daily foraging range of about, I want to say it was like 11 to 18 kilometers. I want to say it was 18. 18 kilometers sounds about right. They would have only been using like, twice their their basal metabolic rate, roughly. And that's roughly the same amount as what we estimated, ground sloths, in terms of their maximum metabolic rate capabilities. And that that metabolic conservatism basically would have mainly been in part to their long legs. So those long legs, as according to the 2020 paper, suggested that tyrannosaurs may have had, lower energy demands compared to other big theropods of similar sizes. And Tom Holtz, who of course was a co-author on this paper, basically likened their hunting strategy to something like wolves or spotted hyenas. They were traveling at lower speeds, but they had, the endurance to eventually catch up with their prey in the end. So yeah, the long story short, the long distance pursuit, high energy pursuit hypothesis as to why these things would have lacked feathers doesn't hold up with the more recent findings. Given that the really strenuous high energy pursuits would have only accounted for a very small fraction of their daily lives.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the last one is gigantism. And that one, of course, has the most weight to it. That being said, there's a big problem with that. Well, for starters, we know that, from working with ground sloths, we know things like Mylodon weighed approximately nearly 2,000 kilos, which is right in the lower end ballpark that Melodol gives for something like Gorgosaurus and Albertosaurus. And of course, Mylodon was furry. Living in a colder climate, mind you, but still something worth noting. And then the other one, mainly regarding Eutyrannus. So even though Eutyrannus was much more lightly built compared to tyrannosaurids of similar body weight, similar body mass, they they were weighing only about like 14 to 1,500 kilos. And but the other big thing that worth note is that we have Psittacosaurus living in the same environment. And I actually looked through the paleobiology database, and even though the exact localities of where the quilled Psittacosaurus specimen and the 3 Eutyrannus specimens that we currently have are practically unknown. there were at least some approximate localities given, and they're pretty much within the vicinity of each other.
Yeah, I mean, all Yishan is all pretty close to each other.
Right. But
the big
all
factor in the
I'm sorry.
So the big factor here in Yishan is time. They're not all from the same age. There's
Right,
multiple beds of like volcanoclastic material, but
Right.
it's all roughly in the same place.
Yeah, it's all roughly in the same place. The only time is the only downside is not a good stratigraphic positioning for those specimens. With that in mind, it's interesting to note that we have a fairly large, densely feathered tyrannosauroid living in an environment with a much smaller, predominantly scaly, save for some quills running down its tail, living in practically the same formation at the very least. That of course needs to be brought up in the paper and to see other specimens in order to get that stratigraphic to see whether or not those specimens were really in like the same unit of time is still questionable, but at the same time it's worth noting that we see this dichotomy there, that body size wasn't necessarily the main driver for why some clades apparently reduced or completely lost feathering entirely.
I think we had
So,
some
yeah, it's,
questions. Oh, sorry. Quickly, I think we had some questions in chat by Gembound Prism. Regarding the Palestream logo, is it supposed to be anything other than a stylized pterosaur in an octagon? Actually, the octagon stuff just came about by accident when